Hello all, little update. It is March 12th, I think, and I wanted to show you a little something here. This is the studio, all drywalled, ready to go. They're still in the phase of putting up some mud. Got a great contractor friend. You know, most of this I wanted to do all this build myself to save money, but also because I enjoy it, and it's a good, learning process and keeping my skills up. But man, things like drywall, I hate doing drywall, and I'm not good and I'm not fast. And so, man, get the guys with the stilts who know what they're doing. And I worked with them to make sure that everything got done the way I needed it. So check it out. Right, it's all 2 layers of 5/8 inch drywall. You can see the drying green glue. It never truly dries, it stays tacky, which is good. But we made a little drywall sandwich there. First layer drywall, second layer drywall with green glue overlapping seams. And then they're gonna come in, I think, do some more mudding and sanding and everything, get it ready for painting. But man, they did a fantastic job. So excited about what this means because we're so much closer. Also, let me show you this. Okay, so check this out. This whole room was built using math, right? I figured out ahead of time what the right ratios would be to have the least amount of standing waves, even without the doors in, but with no acoustical treatment in it. Listen to this. Woo! So stupid, but it makes me so happy because it means that I did the math correctly. You would expect a bunch of stuff like flutter echo, like brrr, that you hear in a lot of rooms because you've got all these hard surfaces right now with no treatment on them, and instead you hear this straight decay. That means we did the math right. All right. Well, here we are at the very end of March, and I am in one of my lovely work ensembles. Check this out. Got the old shorts, the paint stains. Check out those socks. Yes. Anyway, anything to do work, right? And I want to show you the state of the studio. So, here we are. Everything has been painted, for the most part. Still some parts at the bottom there. Needed sealant and baseboard. But got test track lights up there, single track. Think that's enough? Just kidding. And that's all working. That was a whole thing though. Everything else is going good. The staircase is an awesome red color, which I'm loving right now. So still some painting to do. You know, you can see I'm trying to make the walls, the cinder blocks here for the original garage, look a little bit more like cool industrial and a little less murder basement, bare cinder block kind of thing. So that's going on. I'm gonna have to redo the floor. That sucks. You can see that the stain, it did not stain. What it ended up doing is going down like a paint. So that's unfortunate. So I'm just gonna have to eat the cost and end up doing it all again with an acid etch that I can find a color that I really like. So back to the issue of the track lights. These track lights I was putting up Friday, so that's 3 days ago. And I had them all hooked up. By the end of the day, I was only able to work on it and fix and starts in between other work and other jobs and stuff I had to do. So I got the track lights up and I was like, yes, it was so late. You know how you work it later than you should and you blow past dinner. It was like 8:30. It's like, I'm gonna reward myself with a nice meal. I'm just gonna put in a couple test track lights to make sure everything works. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So heartbreaking because I had spent that entire time before they put in drywall and everything, testing all the wires to make sure that this wouldn't happen, and it still did. Let me show you what the problem was. So here we are in my control room, which still hasn't undergone a large change. It's still mainly the same thing that it has been, but it's going to end up being all new hardwood floors over the whole surface, redoing these panels. These are the old panels from Flutter, where I worked for a long time. But the problem with the track lights ended up being that one of the drywall guys accidentally cut through my hot lead on one of my wires coming out of the little sealing cups you put in for your wires. So despite all my testing, someone else broke it. I didn't notice it until it was much too late, and the only way to get to it was by getting into the original cup that was in the original garage ceiling. Because remember, none of my room touches the original framing of the garage. And there were originally lights coming there from the circuit, you can see my hand, and I simply took it down, spliced that and took that down into my room so I could have lights that come on when you enter the garage so you're not having to fumble around for a switch all the way down the stairs to get into the studio. All that to say, only two ways to access that. Way number one was to cut upward through the new drywall that I had guys do to be able to get to the cup, and then I would still have to get through the insulation, and then I would still have to poke up and find out where it is in the original garage ceiling and get to it that way, doing a lot of damage, having to either rehire or go ahead and do the drywall and mudding myself, and the seam might cause sonic problems with sound being able to get through and everything. So option one was out. Option two, go through the subfloor in this control room, which is right above the tracking room. That's what I did. So I started pulling up the old crappy laminate that I'd used, and there was this huge exposed floor there. I don't know if you can see this. Here, I'll just turn the camera around. Yeah, it's a better camera here in this way anyway. Yeah, so I cut up, and I had everything measured left to right across the room. I ended up doing an excellent job. The cup was almost dead center. But front to back, you can see I had to play, where is it? And I ended up with about 4 studs worth of nope, 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 and then finally got it. Cut in through the top of the box, did the wiring, bought a second cup to put it upside down around it to block in all the wires and keep them safe. Turns out the original builders used like R11 or some like way underrated insulation, so no wonder this room had such difficulty keeping hot or cold. Not anymore with that guy, yay. But ended up having to spend my most of my weekend fixing the wiring and then sealing back up the subfloor rather than getting to work on stuff that I wanted to. Welcome to the studio build as it stands now, the very first week in April. It's starting to get pretty cool in here. We have a black ceiling, we have track lighting, we have, flipping the camera around, we have outlets. There's one on the ceiling, we have switches, outlets, more outlets, we have boxes. Look, boxes with all the wires curled up in it. They're hibernating right now. Got a beautiful red color in here. Painted the bricks so it doesn't look like a place where you would find dead people. And then I got these cool sconces. Let me show you what those look like in the stairwell here, which is also painted and looks cool. Check this out. Oh, these sconces are awesome. Might get a little bit brighter bulbs, but honestly, I'm kind of digging the vampire-esque moodiness. It's the same red. Stairs are looking good. Everything's looking good. I'm really happy with the way it's going. Obviously, I talked before about the floor not really surviving the build. You see all the places where I've tested spots to see if it would flake off, and it does. That's not supposed to happen with stain, so I went ahead and sanded it off all around the perimeter here, and I'm gonna have to freaking rent a grinder, and I don't want to do like the $200 rental because I feel like even though this space is a little bit bigger than what I want to do by hand, the 7-inch grinder is probably going to be more economical since I don't go over budget. Annoying, but hey, that happens. Oh, also, check this out. We're up on the ceiling right now, and these will eventually be our Cat 5 runs. One comes from the control room, and one comes from down there at that panel, so clients can plug in. Both of these allow me to run HDMI out, but translate it over Cat 5, which is much easier to run in long lengths, holds up better, and makes for a less expensive and still rock solid experience for everybody. And then this is the mount for the projector. All right, quick update. It is April 12th. You can see behind me here that I've got poly up on the walls here to prepare for the restaining. I can't believe I have to do this freaking thing again. And you can see here that I have completely scoured the old finish, the concrete, over the weekend. Rented a 7-inch angle grinder. Can you believe I did this whole thing with 7-inch angle grinder? Still, the cost was better than getting the whole walk behind thing. And it goes pretty fast. It's kind of like a terribly dusty game of air hockey. I looked terrible when I was done. I wore both an N95 mask as well as a half-face respirator just to be sure I didn't inhale any of the silica dust, because that stuff is nasty. I looked like there had been an explosion in a desert-based powdered milk factory, and I was one of the first responders. It was terrible. You can see I had to clean I guess my camera lens is dirty. It's causing the 70 star filter and everything. I had to clean dust. I had to vacuum every square inch of this place, and then I had to clean dust off all of the walls and the ceiling and the stairwell and everywhere. It was god awful. But I tried also grinding the concrete wet, and that made a worse mess because of all the slurry. So dry it was. I don't recommend it for anybody, but if you have to, you have to. Especially, I don't recommend it if you already have finished walls and everything. So we're getting ready to etch, because even though I just ground the concrete and technically it should be porous enough to accept a stain, based on my last experience, I'm going to use my etching product and continually make a surface that is really ready for the stain, because we're not going to do this again. Okay, outdoor time, April 14th, something like that, and check it out here. Just finished putting down the acid etch stain, a different process. The first time I used an actual semi-transparent stain, and it did not take. After grinding the concrete and using acid etch and clean this stuff, I wasn't gonna take any chances. You're supposed to either etch or grind. I did both. And then right here, I have a loud bird, using rustic. What a wonderful color, rustic. And it looks really weird right now. It looks very yellowish. I don't know if the camera's trying to translate. So as it sits for the next 6 to 8 hours, it's going to continue to darken, and eventually it will hopefully become a very dark kind of coffee brownish reddish color, which will be just absolutely kick ass. So let's hope for the best. Quick update. Here we are the very last week in April. I hate that the flooring has set me back 2 or 3 weeks, honestly. It has really sucked. However, I'm thrilled with the results. If given the choice again, I will always do acid etch from now on for my concrete. There's a lot of character. Some of it I added by purposely flecking in, and I may have talked about this before, but I can't remember what I said in what update. But I purposely flecked in some of my leftover black stain. And of course, as I had to clean up all the acid stain residue after I neutralized it, some places came off, and it actually ends up, I think, kind of looking cooler. So great. So floor's finally done. It was finally sealed. The guy recommended a solvent-based sealer, because technically this wasn't my totally indoors. Man, that stuff smells strong. I've had to leave this garage open so long, even at night at times, because it was horrible. It smelled like Satan's butthole in here. And just like Satan's butthole, it was able to make you sick if you stayed too long. So, but finally, it's a done deal. Love it. I've got all my baseboard here and delivered. Hooray! So I'm going to be putting it up along these parts of the wall that aren't painted. And then I also have doors. I rented a Home Depot van this weekend because it was cheaper than their delivery. And I picked up my doors, and I was so happy I got the flat kind. They were showing it was so hard to find these, because most of the kind they give you are like the standard 6-panel exterior front entry doors. I don't want this to look like a room. I want it to look a little bit more industrial. Plus, to add more mass to the doors, are steel doors. I may actually add some mass-loaded vinyl on either side of them, to like we did at Platform Town in the amp room closet, to help with sound transmission. So there we go. So this week will be baseboard and doors. Okay, morning. It's time to take a look now at what it looks like. I think the last time I did one of these videos, I hadn't put down all the baseboards yet, and I hadn't finished the doors. Let's take a look. There we go. Looks like a door to me. Still have to caulk around it and everything, and there's some spots around the wall here where you can see like the masking tape. When I was doing the sealant to hold up all the plastic around so I didn't get the walls wet, that still kind of messed with the paint. I have to touch that up. Everything leads to something, right? We've got doors everywhere. They're awesome. Got this one open, just kind of letting things air out. Still smells a little bit like sealant. Trying to get everything set up. So, still got a bunch of tools here, so it's nice clean. Don't judge me. And we're about to, as you see, all this equipment down here, I'm about to shoot out the room from a bunch of different positions. I have a studio monitor over there, only because a studio monitor is going to give a flatter response than like a PA speaker or something. Then I have measurement mic, which reports its calibration to the software that I use, Room EQ Wizard. Awesome. It's freeware. Download it. It's great. And then I'm running it through just honestly this mixer I have from when I was doing a lot of road stuff and live stuff. So anyway, just kind of all configured to shoot a 20-20 sweep, a 20-20 sweep to the microphone. Measurement, not as concerned about specific settings. Obviously, it's on top of a box of wire on top of a table saw. Like, I don't care about speaker stands. This is not a control room. We're not trying to get pristine. We're just trying to get something that will excite the room from different positions. I'm gonna try it from here, all the walls and the stairwell, and try a few different positions of the mic just to see what does the room sound like to this software, which will graph it out for me. Here, I'll show you. I'm gonna measure it right here. And set the delay to only 1 second. Here we go, check it out. It sounds cool. There you go. It's measured the room. Freaking awesome. Hey, I want to pause for just a second and talk about something that is really, really important to me. And there's a problem in a lot of places that have commercial studios. It's not well known, but that's why we're making these. Stakes. Wooden stakes, to be precise. What do you use those for? That's right, vampires, studio vampires. These are not stakes, they are in fact dowels. Can you call it a dowel if it's square? You know what I mean. Little things like this. And I'm making a Skyline diffuser, a bunch of Skyline diffusers to be exact, because I'm going to make this wall behind me here by about a 3-foot by 8-foot panel of Skyline diffusers, kind of behind the drums where I hope the drums are going to be. Most of the shootout data said that was going to be a good place for them. And it's going to help diffuse the sound of the drums off the back wall and not make it so reflective, and at the same time not kill the ambience. Whereas here, on these walls, on the side walls, I'm going to have, Lord willing, some steel armatures and hinges suspending some reversible panels on hinges that can turn to a reflective or absorptive side, so you can kind of tune the room, mix and match, have fun with it, dead or live. And then of course, up here are going to be a bunch of clouds hanging. I've got the chalk line snapped so that I can hang some conduit and then hang some clouds from that. And then the far wall will probably be some form of absorption, but I'm going to wait to get there until I've got the rest tuned in. Greetings, I have not done a video in a while. It's about almost mid-July. I have had a lot of work and then also been very busy down here, and a lot of it's been the small kind of progress that you can't necessarily point to and say, look, big differences, but it is a big difference. For example, I now have, as you can see behind me, have all the railing hung for my fantastic clouds. I also have finished the wiring and the soldering for every single panel in here. All the panels, wherever they are, they're all done. Got a ton of, Roxel, got some stained wood pieces putting together for my wall panels, got those all built. Bunch of stuff. It's hard to see big improvements. I guess I'm sounding like I'm trying to impress people, but hey, we're getting there, almost done.